The emergency scanner flashed red 3 times before anyone noticed. Dr. Nalara had been reviewing treatment records for a sick transport lizard when the alarm pulled her attention away. She set down her datapad and hurried across the medical bay, her forearms moving in practiced coordination. The Interstellar Veterinary Medical Station had handled thousands of cases over the years. But something about this alert made her stomach tighten. A distressed voice crackled through the communication system. "This is cargo vessel North Wind requesting immediate emergency assistance. We have a situation in our hold." The pilot sounded terrified, his words tumbling over each other. "We were loading supplies near the outer territories when something got inside. It's hurt, bleeding everywhere. But we can't get near it. The thing nearly killed 2 of my crew." Nalara pressed the response button. "What species are we dealing with?" Long silence. Then the pilot spoke again, quieter this time. "We don't know exactly. Our scanner says it's from somewhere in the forbidden zones. Maybe one of those jungle moons. It's big, Doctor. Really big. And angry." Within minutes, the medical bay filled with staff. Resident Pax arrived first, his crystalline body refracting the overhead lights into rainbow patterns across the walls. Chief Handler Grev came next, already wearing his heavy armor and carrying 3 different restraint tools. Other technicians and assistants gathered around the main display screen as Nalara pulled up the initial scan data from the cargo ship. The image that appeared made everyone go quiet. The creature measured 12 feet from nose to tail, covered in scales that shifted colors even in the poor lighting of the cargo hold. Bone spines ran along its back, currently extended in full defensive display. 6 eyes glowed in the darkness, each one tracking movement independently. Its jaw looked strong enough to bite through metal. "Class 9 Death World," Pack said, reading the biological data scrolling beside the image. "Possibly from Vorath 3. These are solitary ambush predators. Extremely territorial. Highly aggressive when cornered." Grev checked his equipment. "How do we contain it?" Nalara studied the readings more carefully. Blood loss indicators showed critical levels. Multiple deep wounds across the creature's body. 1 leg appeared broken. This animal is dying. If we don't get it into treatment within a few hours, it won't survive. Then we sedate it from a distance and bring it in, Grev said. Standard protocol for dangerous species. They tried. The cargo ship pilot agreed to let them fire tranquilizer darts through a service hatch in the hold. Pax prepared the strongest sedatives in their inventory, adjusting the dosage for the creature's mass and metabolism. 3 darts hit their target. All 3 bounced off the armored scales without penetrating. The creature roared in response, a sound so deep and terrifying that it made the communication speakers vibrate. The pilot's voice returned, tight with fear. "My crew is refusing to stay aboard. That thing is tearing apart our cargo containers. It's destroying everything in there. Either you take it in the next 6 hours or we're spacing it." "You can't do that," Nalara protested. "This is a living being in medical crisis." "Doctor, with respect, this is my ship and my crew's safety. 6 hours. That's all you get." The communication cut off. Nalara turned to her assembled staff looking for ideas. Every face showed the same expression. Uncertainty mixed with fear. These were trained medical professionals who had worked with countless species, but none of them had experience with something this dangerous and this hurt. "We could try stronger sedatives," Pax suggested, "but they might kill it in its weakened state." "We could use the containment field to immobilize it," Grev offered. "Force it into position for treatment." Nalara shook her head. That much stress would trigger shock. Its heart would give out. They argued in circles for almost 20 minutes. Euthanasia versus aggressive sedation versus forced containment. Every option seemed worse than the last. Nalara felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on her. She had dedicated her life to healing animals, and now she stood helpless while a creature died because they were all too afraid to help it. A quiet voice spoke from the back of the group. "I can help with this." Everyone turned. Leo stood near the wall, away from the main circle of senior staff. He had been so still that most of them had forgotten he was there. The human worked as a veterinary technician, usually handling routine tasks that didn't require advanced medical degrees. He was young by human standards, with dark hair and calm eyes that seemed to take in everything without judgment. "What did you say?" Nalara asked. Leo stepped forward, pointing at the display screen. "I said I can help. I've worked with animals like this before. Not this exact species, but similar. Apex predators from dangerous environments. They respond to a particular approach. Grev laughed, though there was no humor in it. You've worked with Class 9 predators? Humans are reckless, but even you can't be that foolish. Earth is Class 10, Leo said simply. I grew up in the wildlife territories. My family rehabilitated injured predators. Jaguars, crocodiles, bears. Animals that could kill you in seconds if they chose to. But they usually didn't because we understood them. Pax's crystalline structure shifted colors, indicating skepticism. Understanding means nothing to an animal in pain. Pain creates aggression. Aggression in a creature that size means death. Leo walked closer to the screen, studying the creature's posture and positioning. Look at her wounds. Those aren't from hunting. They're defensive. She was protecting something when she got hurt. And see how she's backed into that corner? That's not aggression. That's fear. She's terrified and in pain, and she doesn't understand what's happening to her. How do you know it's female? Nilara asked. The scarring pattern around her abdomen. She's had cubs. Recently, probably. Which means somewhere on that jungle moon her babies are waiting for her to come home. The room went silent again. Everyone looked at the screen with new understanding. This wasn't a monster. This was a mother, hurt and desperate, fighting to survive so she could return to her young. Nilara felt something shift in her chest. What do you need? Leo took a breath. Everyone out of the containment bay except me. Turn off the bright lights and the mechanical sounds. Give me time alone with her. No weapons, no armor. Just me and her. That's insane, Grev said flatly. You'll be dead in 30 seconds. Leo looked at the security chief with those calm, steady eyes. Then I made a mistake. But I don't think I will. Every aggressive animal is just a scared animal with weapons. You teach them they have control, they don't need to use those weapons. Nilara looked at her staff. Looked at the creature on screen. Looked at the human who spoke with such quiet certainty. Every protocol she knew said this was wrong. But every protocol she knew would let this animal die. She made her decision. Leo will have his chance. Prepare the containment bay. Leo remembered the first time he saw his grandmother work with a wounded jaguar. He had been 8 years old, standing behind the safety barrier at the family rehabilitation center deep in Earth's Amazon territories. The big cat had been caught in illegal traps, her front leg mangled and infected. She snarled at anyone who came close, her eyes wild with pain and fear. His grandmother had done something that seemed crazy. She walked into the enclosure alone. No tranquilizers. No protective gear. Just her, moving slowly and deliberately while the jaguar watched with murder in her eyes. For 3 hours his grandmother sat on the ground 20 feet away, never making direct eye contact. Just breathing and existing in the same space. Eventually the jaguar's breathing had matched hers. Eventually trust began. That memory played through Leo's mind as the cargo ship docked with the medical station. Through the observation window, he watched the transfer process begin. The injured creature had been moved into a secure containment bay, the largest space available. Medical equipment lined the walls, but Leo had requested most of it be pushed back, creating an open area in the center. Dr. Nilara stood beside him. Her forearms crossed in a gesture he had learned meant anxiety. I've authorized this against my better judgment, but the moment I think you're in real danger, I'm activating the containment protocols. Fair enough, Leo said. He appreciated her concern, even if he knew those protocols would probably just make things worse. Containment fields, stun weapons, forced sedation, all of those would feel like attacks to an already terrified animal. Resident Pax approached carrying a small container. I've synthesized food based on her species' dietary requirements. Raw protein with the correct mineral balance. Maybe you can use it to build trust. Leo accepted the container. Thank you. That's smart thinking. Chief Handler Grev was the last to speak. The big Torok looked uncomfortable, shifting his weight from foot to foot. Human, I've seen combat on 6 different worlds. I've faced down enemy soldiers and never felt the kind of fear I feel watching you prepare to do this. Are you certain? Leo checked his small medical kit one final time. Antiseptic spray, bandage materials, pain relief patches. Nothing that could be mistaken for a weapon. I'm certain that she deserves a chance. And I'm certain that your way would definitely kill her. My way might work. The observation deck cleared. Leo stood alone at the entrance to the containment bay. Behind the reinforced window, he could see the medical staff gathering to watch. Some looked curious. Most looked horrified. All of them thought he was about to die. Leo took 3 deep breaths, centering himself the way his grandmother had taught him. Then he pressed the door release and stepped inside. The smell hit him first. Blood and fear and something else. Something wild that his brain recognized on an instinctive level as dangerous. The containment bay had been dimmed to emergency lighting only, creating deep shadows in the corners. For a moment, Leo couldn't see the creature at all. Then 6 eyes opened in the darkness, glowing, fixed on him. The Vorath spine cat was even more impressive in person. Her scales caught what little light existed and reflected it in patterns that seemed to shift and move. The bone spines along her back were fully extended, each one sharp enough to punch through armor. Blood matted her fur in several places, dark and still wet. Her broken leg was held at an awkward angle. She made a sound. Not a roar, something deeper, more primal. A warning that bypassed Leo's conscious mind and went straight to every prey instinct humanity had ever developed. His heart rate spiked. His hands wanted to shake, but he had expected this. Fear was natural. Fear was honest. The trick was not letting fear control his actions. Leo sat down. Right there, just inside the door, he lowered himself to the floor and sat cross-legged. He placed the medical kit beside him, the container of food in front. Then he simply stayed still. The creature watched him. Her breathing was rapid and shallow, each exhale showing the pain she was in. Leo could see her muscles bunching, preparing to spring if he moved wrong. One wrong step and those jaws would close around him. One wrong gesture and those spines would impale him, so he didn't move. He just sat and breathed, making each breath visible and deliberate. In through his nose, out through his mouth, slow, steady, non-threatening. Minutes passed. Through the observation window, Leo knew the medical staff must be losing their minds. Why wasn't he doing anything? Why wasn't he advancing? This wasn't what they expected. But this was exactly what needed to happen. The creature needed to understand that Leo wasn't attacking, that he wasn't forcing anything, that she had control over this situation. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, her breathing began to change. The rapid, panicked rhythm started to slow. Her spines remained extended, but they stopped quivering. Her eyes tracked him constantly, but with less intensity. Leo began to speak. Not words exactly, she wouldn't understand human language. But tone mattered. Rhythm mattered. He spoke in low, soothing sounds, the kind his grandmother used with frightened animals. The kind that said, "You're safe. I'm not a threat. We're okay." He reached forward very slowly and pushed the food container a few feet toward her. Then he pulled his hand back to his side. An offering. No pressure. No demands. The creature's nostrils flared. She smelled the food. Her head tilted slightly, considering, but she didn't move toward it. Too risky. Too uncertain, that was fine. Leo hadn't expected immediate acceptance. Trust took time. He continued sitting, breathing, speaking softly. The medical kit remained closed beside him. He wanted her to see it, to become familiar with it, but not to feel threatened by any sudden movements. More time passed. Leo's legs started to ache from sitting still. His back complained about the hard floor. He ignored the discomfort. This wasn't about his comfort. This was about showing this creature that he would respect her space, her fear, her need for control. Then something shifted. The creature took one small step forward. Not a lunge. Not an attack. Just a step, testing, evaluating. Leo kept breathing steadily, kept speaking softly. He extended his hand, palm down, fingers relaxed. Not reaching for her, just offering, letting her choose. She stared at his hand for a long time. Leo could see the conflict in her body language. Every instinct told her humans were dangerous. Every experience told her to attack threats before they attacked her. But something else was there too, exhaustion, pain, and maybe, just maybe, a small flicker of hope that this strange creature meant what his body language suggested. Her snout extended, slowly, carefully. She sniffed the air near his hand, gathering information through scent. Leo's heart hammered in his chest, but his hand remained perfectly steady. The creature pulled back, considered, then took another small step closer, behind the observation window. Leo imagined the entire medical staff holding their breath. He certainly was holding his. "That's right," he whispered. "I'm not here to hurt you. I know you're scared. I know you're in pain. But I can help. If you let me." The Vorath spine cat stood 5 feet away from him now, close enough that she could kill him in a single motion. Close enough that he could see the intelligence in those 6 eyes. The evaluation. the decision being made, and then she made it. The creature collapsed, not from attack, not from fear, from sheer exhaustion and acceptance. Her massive body settled onto the floor with a heavy sound. Her head came to rest 3 feet from Leo's knee. Her eyes remained open, still watching, still wary, but no longer hostile. Leo's breath came out in a rush. He spoke into the small comm unit in his ear. "Dr. Nalara, I need you and your team now. But move slowly. Follow my lead exactly. She's ready for help." The containment bay door opened with a soft hiss. Dr. Nalara entered first, moving as though she was walking through water. Every step took forever. Her forearms were held close to her body, making herself as small as possible. Behind her came Resident Pax, his crystalline form reflecting nervous colors, and Chief Handler Grev, who despite his armor looked like he wanted to be anywhere else. The Vorathon spine cat's eyes tracked each new arrival. Her body tensed. The spines along her back rose slightly. A low rumble started in her chest. Leo kept his hand visible near her, maintaining that physical connection.
"It's okay," he said softly.
"These are friends. They're here to help you feel better." The creature's eyes shifted back to Leo. The rumbling continued but didn't escalate. She was trusting him, but barely. One wrong move from the medical team would shatter that fragile trust. "Dr. Nalara, stop there," Leo said quietly. "Let her see you. Let her smell you. Don't move any closer yet." The doctor froze in place. She stood about 15 feet from the creature, her medical scanner held loosely in one hand. "What do I do?" "Nothing. Just be still. Let her decide you're not a threat." They waited. It felt like an eternity, but was probably only 2 minutes. The creature's breathing stayed elevated but didn't spike into panic. Her eyes moved between Leo and Nalara, comparing, evaluating. Finally, the rumbling in her chest faded. "Okay," Leo said. "You can take 3 steps closer. But move to your left, not straight at her. Predators see direct approaches as challenges." Nalara followed his instructions exactly. 3 slow steps, angling to the side. The creature watched but didn't react aggressively. Pax and Grev moved next, copying Nalara's path and pace. "Now extend your scanner," Leo instructed. "Show it to her first. Let her see it's not a weapon." Nalara held the scanner up where the creature could see it clearly. "I need to check your injuries," she said, speaking to the animal even though she knew it couldn't understand the words. The tone mattered, though. Calm, gentle, concerned. She activated the scanner. The soft blue light washed over the creature's body, gathering data. Multiple deep lacerations. Severe bruising across her ribs. The broken leg was worse than they thought. Compound fracture with bone fragments pressing against muscle tissue. Internal bleeding in 2 places. Pain levels that would have knocked most species unconscious. "How is she still moving?" Pax whispered. "Adrenaline," Leo answered. "And maternal instinct. She's fighting to survive because she has cubs waiting for her." Grev positioned himself near the medical equipment, ready to hand over tools as needed. "What do we treat first?" Nalara studied her scanner readings. "The internal bleeding. If we don't stop that, nothing else matters. But I'll need to inject a coagulant directly into the affected areas. That means getting very close." Leo looked at the creature. Her eyes were starting to glaze slightly. Exhaustion and blood loss catching up with her. She's getting weaker. That might make her more unpredictable, not less. Every instinct tells her that showing weakness means death. "Then what do we do?" Nalara asked. "We move slowly. We explain everything before we do it. And we accept that she might react badly even if we do everything right." Nalara approached with the injector, her movements glacially slow. Leo kept up his quiet commentary, speaking to the creature in those soothing tones. "This will help you. It's medicine. It will sting a little, but then you'll feel better. We're trying to help." The injector touched the creature's side. She flinched. Her head swung toward Nalara, jaws opening slightly. Leo placed his hand gently on the creature's neck. Not restraining, just present. "Easy, you're okay. We're helping you." The creature's jaws closed. Her body stayed tense, but she didn't attack. Nalara administered the first injection. The creature growled but held still. Second injection. Third. Each one targeting a different site of internal bleeding. "Coagulant is working," Pax reported, watching the scanner readings. "Blood loss is slowing." "Now the leg," Nalara said. "This is going to be more difficult. We need to set the bone and stabilize it." "That's going to hurt," Leo nodded. "Let me prepare her." He shifted his position, moving closer to the creature's head. She watched him but didn't pull away. Listen to me, he said softly. The next part is going to be painful. Really painful. Your leg is broken and we need to fix it. You're going to want to bite something. You're going to want to fight. But please don't. Please trust us just a little bit longer. The creature made a sound, not a growl or a roar. Something else. Almost like a question. I know, Leo responded as if he understood. I know it's scary. But you have to get better. Your babies need you. Nilara prepared the leg stabilization equipment. Resident Pax mixed a local anesthetic, though he warned it would sting before it numbed. Grev positioned restraint fields just in case, though Leo had requested they only activate as a last resort. Ready? Nilara asked. Leo took a deep breath. Ready. The anesthetic injection went into the muscle near the break. The creature's reaction was immediate and explosive. She roared, a sound so powerful it rattled the medical equipment on the walls. Her spines extended fully. Her whole body tried to lurch upward. Leo didn't pull away. He kept his hands on her, gentle but present. I know it hurts. Just a few more seconds. You're doing so well. The roar faded into heavy panting. The creature settled back down, trembling. But she hadn't attacked. Hadn't tried to hurt anyone. She was fighting every instinct to stay calm. Incredible, Grev breathed. She's choosing not to hurt us. She understands, Leo said. Maybe not our words, but our intent. She knows we're trying to help. They waited for the anesthetic to take effect. Leo kept up his constant reassurance, his hands never leaving contact with the creature. Finally, Pax's scanner indicated the area was numb enough to work on. Nilara and Pax worked together on the leg, carefully manipulating the bone fragments back into alignment. The creature shuddered with each movement but stayed still. Leo talked her through every moment. You're so brave. You're doing so well. Almost done. Almost there. The bone fragments aligned. Nilara applied a specialized bonding gel that would hold everything in place while natural healing occurred. Then came the external stabilizer, a lightweight cast that molded to the leg's shape and hardened within seconds. Done, Nilara said, stepping back. Her hands were shaking, but there was more work. The deep lacerations needed cleaning and sealing. The bruised ribs needed pain medication patches. Damaged scales needed treatment to prevent infection. For 4 more hours, the medical team worked steadily, and through it all, the creature stayed mostly calm. She growled sometimes, flinched often, but she let them help. Leo stayed beside her the entire time. That steady presence that said, "You're safe, this will end. You can survive this." As the work neared completion, Leo noticed something on the scanner. He pointed it out to Nilara. These wounds. Look at the pattern. She studied them. Defensive injuries. Like you said before. Yes, but look closer. These marks here, those are from another predator. Something tried to attack her den. She fought it off but took damage doing it. Her cubs were threatened, Pax said. She protected them at the cost of her own safety. Grev, who had been silent for the past hour, spoke up. That's what parents do. Across every species I've ever known. They put their children first, the medical work finished. The creature lay quietly, pain medication finally giving her some relief. Her breathing was deeper now, more regular. Her eyes were half closed. Nilara checked her readings one final time. She'll survive. The injuries were severe, but nothing is life-threatening anymore. With rest and continued treatment, she should make a full recovery. Leo felt relief wash over him. But then another thought struck him. How long until she can travel? Travel? Nilara looked confused. She needs at least 2 weeks of observation and recovery. Her cubs don't have 2 weeks, Leo said.
Vorath 3 juvenile survival without parental care is measured in hours, not days.
We've already used almost a full day. Understanding dawned on the medical team. They had saved the mother, but her children were still dying. Leo made a decision. Then we go with her. Back to Vorath 3. We provide mobile medical support while she guides us to her cubs. We make sure they all survive. That violates every protocol, Nilara protested. Leo looked at her steadily. Your protocols would have killed her. Sometimes you have to trust that there's a better way. The creature made a soft sound. Her eyes opened and fixed on Leo. In that moment, he could swear she understood exactly what he was suggesting, and she was saying yes. The medical transport ship broke through the thick clouds of Vorath 3, descending toward a world that looked like it had been painted with luminescent colors. Jungles stretched in every direction, trees that glowed with soft blue and purple light, rivers that seemed to pulse with their own internal radiance. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. In the cargo hold, Leo sat beside the medical berth where the Vorath and spine cat rested. She had been quiet during the journey, conserving her strength. But as they entered the atmosphere of her home world, she lifted her head and sniffed the air coming through the ventilation systems. A sound emerged from her throat, not aggressive but longing. She smelled home. Environmental analysis is concerning, Pax announced from the cockpit. The air contains spores that cause hallucinations in most species. The rain has acid content. The plant life includes several varieties that actively hunt prey. Grev checked his armor seals. I've been to death worlds before. Never one this hostile. How do animals survive here? By being more dangerous than everything around them, Leo said. He was reviewing data on Vorath 3 ecology that he had downloaded during the trip. This is a world where nothing gets to be weak. Everything here has evolved weapons. Dr. Nalara emerged from the medical prep area, carrying equipment cases. Are we certain about this plan? We could call in a planetary wildlife service. They're 3 days away, Leo reminded her. The Cubs don't have 3 days. We have maybe 12 hours if we're lucky. The ship landed in a clearing near the coordinates where the cargo vessel had originally encountered the spine cat. The moment the ramp lowered, the full reality of Vorath 3 hit them. The air was thick and humid, carrying smells that Leo's brain wanted to identify as dangerous. The sounds of the jungle were constant. Clicks, hums, roars in the distance. Everything felt alive and watching. The spine cat rose from her berth. Despite her injuries and the stabilizing cast on her leg, she moved with purpose. She limped down the ramp and onto the soil of her home. Her whole body language changed. Here, she wasn't a patient. She was a predator in her own territory. She turned back and looked at Leo. Waiting. She wants us to follow, Leo said. He picked up his medical pack and started after her. The medical team gathered their equipment and fell in line. Grev took the rear position, his weapons ready but not activated. Stay close. Watch the ground. Watch the trees. Watch everything. They moved into the jungle, following the spine cat as she navigated through terrain that would have been impossible for the aliens alone. She led them around pools of liquid that looked like water but smelled wrong, past flowers that opened and closed like mouths tracking their movement, under branches that seemed to reach toward them. Leo saw the dangers before his companions did. His Deathworlder instincts, honed on Earth's hazardous environments, kicked in automatically. Don't step there, that puddle is too still. It's a trap. Those vines there, see how regular they are? That's not natural. Something is mimicking plant life. How can you tell? Nalara asked, staying very close to Leo. Earth taught me, when you grow up surrounded by things that want to kill you, you learn to read the signs. They had been walking for an hour when Grev suddenly activated his armor's defensive field. Something is following us, everyone froze. The spine cat turned, her body low and ready. Her spines extended fully. A shape moved through the trees off to their left. Something large and serpentine with scales that matched the jungle colors perfectly. Gorathane serpent, Pax identified from his scanner. Apex predator, probably attracted by the blood smell. The serpent emerged into view. It was easily 20 feet long, with a head that could swallow any of them whole. Its eyes fixed on the group, evaluating. Hunting calculations happening behind those cold pupils. Grev aimed his weapon. Permission to fire? Wait, Leo said. Just wait. The spine cat moved. Despite her injured leg, despite her weakened state, she positioned herself between the serpent and the medical team. She roared, that deep primal sound that Leo had first heard in the containment bay. But this time it carried a different message. Not fear, challenge, protection. The serpent paused. Its tongue flicked out, tasting the air. It looked at the spine cat, at the strange creatures behind her, at the defensive posture that clearly said, "You'll have to go through me first." For a long moment, nothing moved. Two apex predators facing each other, weighing odds and costs. Then the serpent withdrew. It slid back into the jungle, deciding that easier prey existed elsewhere. The spine cat watched until it was completely gone. Then she turned and looked at the medical team, specifically at Leo. Her expression, if a creature like her could have expressions, seemed almost surprised. She protected us, Nalara breathed. She put herself in danger to keep us safe. Leo felt something shift in his understanding. She's not just leading us to her cubs. She's adopted us into her protection circle. In Spine Cat's social structure, that means we're family now. Grev lowered his weapon slowly. I've been a security officer for 20 years. I've never seen anything like this. An apex predator choosing to protect other species. It's not unprecedented, Leo said. Earth has stories about wild animals protecting humans who help them. Dolphins defending swimmers from sharks. Dogs protecting children they just met. When you show kindness to a creature, sometimes that kindness comes back. They continued walking. The terrain grew more difficult. Steeper slopes, denser vegetation. The spine cat was tiring, her limp becoming more pronounced. Leo called for rest stops every 20 minutes, using the time to check her wounds and change bandages. Each time she accepted his care without resistance. During the third rest stop, Pax noticed something on his scanner. I'm detecting cave structures ahead. Large natural formations with multiple chambers. The spine cat's head lifted. She made a sound, urgent, desperate. She tried to rise too quickly and stumbled on her injured leg. Leo caught her, taking some of her weight. Easy. We're close, aren't we? Your cubs are there. She pushed forward with renewed energy, pain forgotten in her need to reach her young. The medical team hurried to keep up. They crested a ridge and saw it. A cave entrance marked with territorial signs, deep scratches in the stone that warned other predators to stay away. The spine cat called out. A loud, resonating sound that echoed into the cave depths. Silence. She called again, more desperately. Still, silence. Leo's heart sank. Were they too late? Then faintly from deep within the cave, a response. High-pitched and weak, but unmistakable. The cry of young. The spine cat tried to run, but her leg gave out. She collapsed near the cave entrance, making distressed sounds that needed no translation. Her babies were inside. She had come home. But she couldn't reach them. We'll bring them out, Leo said, already moving toward the cave. Dr. Nalara, prepare to assess their condition. Pax, get nutrition ready. Grev, stay with their mother. He entered the darkness of the cave, his portable light casting shadows on ancient stone walls. The air smelled of animal musk and something else. The sweet, sickly smell of young creatures who hadn't been fed properly. The cries grew louder as he went deeper. Then his light found them. 3 cubs, each about the size of an earth panther, huddled together in a nest of gathered vegetation. Their scales were dull, their eyes glazed. They looked up at him with expressions that broke his heart. Desperate hope mixed with primal fear. One cub, smaller than the others, didn't lift her head at all. She lay motionless except for rapid, shallow breathing. Leo knelt slowly. Hey there, little ones. Your mother sent me. She's right outside. She came back for you. The 2 stronger cubs hissed at him, tiny spines extending in futile defense. The smallest one didn't react at all. She was dying. Leo could see it in every sign his training recognized. He spoke into his comm. Dr. Nalara, we have 3 cubs. 2 are weak but stable. 1 is critical. I need emergency medical equipment in here now. Outside, he heard the mother spine cat making desperate sounds. She knew. She knew one of her babies was dying. Time was running out. The cave became a field hospital within minutes. Dr. Nalara and Pax rushed in with equipment while Grev stayed outside with the mother, physically restraining her from trying to enter on her broken leg. Her cries of distress echoed through the stone chambers, a sound of pure parental anguish that transcended species. Leo knelt beside the smallest cub, his scanner showing readings that made his stomach clench. Severe dehydration, blood sugar levels dangerously low. Her organs were beginning to shut down. She had maybe 6 hours left, probably less. Starting IV fluids, Nilara said, her 4 hands moving with practiced efficiency. She inserted a tiny catheter into the cub's foreleg. But I don't know if we can get enough nutrients into her fast enough. Pax prepared emergency nutrition supplements. Her digestive system is compromised. If we feed her too quickly, we could cause more damage. But if we don't feed her at all, she dies anyway. The other 2 cubs watched from their corner, hissing whenever anyone came near them. They were scared and defensive, their mother's children in every way, but they were also starving, their ribs showing through their dull scales. Leo divided his attention between the critical cub and her siblings. We need to feed those 2 as well. They're weak enough that they might not survive another night without nutrition. How do we get them to eat? Pax asked. They're terrified of us. Leo thought about it. Then he had an idea. He went to the cave entrance where Grev was holding the mother back. She lunged against the security chief's restraining field, desperate to reach her young. Let me try something, Leo said. He deactivated the field. The mother spine cat stumbled forward, but Leo stepped in front of her, placing his hands gently on her massive head. Listen to me. Your babies need you, but you can't walk in there. Your leg will break worse if you put weight on it. I need you to trust me one more time. She made a sound. Frustrated, desperate. I know you need to see them, so we'll bring them to you. Leo turned to Grev. Help me move her to the cave entrance where she can see inside. Position her so she's lying down, taking weight off that leg. They maneuvered the mother carefully. She fought them at first, but Leo kept talking, kept reassuring. Finally, she was positioned where she could see into the cave, see her cubs, but was stable enough not to cause herself more injury. Then Leo went back inside and approached the two healthier cubs. They hissed and swiped at him with tiny claws. He ignored the minor scratches. Gently but firmly, he picked up the first one. It squirmed and bit at his protective gloves. He carried it to the entrance and set it down beside its mother. The cub immediately pressed against her, making small crying sounds. The mother began grooming it with her rough tongue, checking it for injuries, making comforting rumbles. Leo repeated the process with the second cub. More hissing, more tiny bites, but he got it to its mother. Both cubs were now nursing, their tiny bodies finally getting the nutrition they desperately needed. Back in the cave, the smallest cub lay motionless on the medical berth. The IV fluids were running, but her vital signs weren't improving fast enough. She's not responding, Nalara said quietly. The damage is too extensive. No, Leo said firmly. There's something we're missing. He studied the cub, thinking about earth mammals, thinking about what newborn animals needed beyond food and water. Then it hit him. She needs her mother. Physical contact. She's too weak to regulate her own body temperature. She's probably been alone in this cold cave while her siblings kept each other warm. The mother can't come in here, Pax reminded him. She's too injured. Then we bring the cub to her mother. Nilara looked horrified. We can't move her in this condition. The IV lines, and we set up portable equipment. Keep her on the IV, but position her next to her mother. It's risky, but she's dying anyway. At least this way she has a chance. They worked quickly, transferring the tiny cub to a portable medical pad. Leo carried her carefully, all the tubes and wires coming with her to the cave entrance. The mother spine cat saw her smallest baby and made a sound that was pure heartbreak. Leo positioned the cub against her mother's body. The mother immediately curled around her, sharing body heat. She began grooming the tiny creature with desperate care, making soft sounds, and slowly, incredibly, the cub's vital signs began to stabilize. Body temperature rising, Pax reported, watching his scanner in amazement. Heart rate strengthening. The cub's eyes flickered open. She made a weak sound. Her mother responded immediately, nuzzling her, encouraging her. The physical contact is working, Nilara breathed. The mother's presence is triggering biological responses we couldn't replicate with technology. Leo sat back, exhaustion hitting him. They had been working non-stop for 6 hours. But all 3 cubs were now with their mother. All 3 were feeding or receiving medical care, and all 3 were going to survive. Grev stood guard at the cave entrance, watching the jungle for threats. How long do we maintain this position? 24 hours minimum, Nilara said. We need to make sure the critical cub is stable before we move her again. Leo looked at the family unit in front of him. The mother, despite her own pain and injuries, was focused entirely on her children, grooming them, warming them, reassuring them. The cubs pressed against her, finally safe after days of fear and hunger. We should establish a perimeter, Grev suggested. That serpent might come back. Other predators will smell blood and young. Agreed, Leo said. But I think we have one advantage. He gestured to the mother spine cat. She'll fight anything that threatens this cave. And now she knows we're on her side. As if understanding, the creature lifted her head and looked at Leo. Her 6 eyes glowed softly in the dim light. Then she did something unexpected. She made a sound, not a roar or growl. A quiet rumbling purr. Is she purring? Pax asked in disbelief. Leo smiled. Contentment, relief, maybe even gratitude. She knows her babies are safe now. They settled in for a long watch. Nilara set up rotation schedules for monitoring the cubs' conditions. Pax prepared additional nutrition as needed. Grev established security protocols. Leo sat near the cave entrance, close enough to keep watch, but far enough to give the family space. The mother kept one of her 6 eyes on him at all times, but it wasn't a suspicious watch anymore. It was acknowledgement, recognition. They had crossed some invisible line from strangers to something else. Not quite friends, she was still a wild apex predator, but allies, partners in ensuring these cubs survived. The smallest cub made a sound, stronger now. She had started nursing, her tiny mouth finding her mother's warmth and nourishment. The mother groomed her gently, celebrating this small victory. Behind Leo, the jungle of Vorath 3 pulsed with bioluminescent life. Dangerous, beautiful, unforgiving. A death world that created creatures like the spine cat. Powerful, protective, and capable of incredible devotion. Leo understood that devotion. His grandmother had taught him that every parent, regardless of species, would fight the universe itself to protect their young. Today he had helped one mother win that fight. 30 hours had passed since they first reached the cave. The smallest cub had made it through the critical period and was now nursing regularly. Her eyes were brighter. Her scales had regained some of their natural shimmer. The other 2 cubs were fully recovered, playing rough with each other near their mother, while she watched with what could only be described as maternal patience. Dr. Nilara ran final scans on all 3 cubs. Remarkable. Complete recovery in such a short time. Their biology is incredibly resilient. They're deathworlders, Leo said. They have to be tough to survive here. Pax was packing up the medical equipment. The mother's leg is healing well. The internal injuries have closed. She should be able to hunt again within a week. Leo approached the spine cat carefully. She watched him come, but her spines remained flat against her back. He knelt beside her and checked the cast on her leg. You did good, Mama. Your babies are healthy because you fought so hard to get back to them. She pressed her head against his chest briefly. The gesture was unmistakable. Affection, gratitude, connection. Then she pulled back and returned her attention to her cubs. Time to go, Grev announced. We've pushed our supply limits. And honestly, I don't want to spend another night in this jungle if we don't have to. The team gathered their equipment and prepared to leave. Leo took one last look at the family. The mother was grooming her cubs, each one pressing close to her. They were safe. They would survive. The mission was complete. As they started down the path back to the ship, the mother spine cat made a sound. Leo turned. She was standing now, favoring her injured leg, but standing nonetheless. She looked at him across the distance between them. Leo raised his hand in farewell. Take care of them. They're lucky to have you. The journey back to the ship was easier than the journey in. Leo's knowledge of the terrain helped them avoid most dangers. By the time they reached the clearing where they had landed, everyone was exhausted but satisfied. On the flight back to the medical station, Dr. Nilara sat beside Leo. I need to ask you something. Will you teach us? Formally, I mean. Create a training program for the staff. Leo looked surprised. Teach what? What you did. How you approached that creature. How you built trust when every protocol we had would have failed. She gestured at the data on her tablet. I've been reviewing our procedures. We rely so heavily on sedation and restraint. We treat animals as problems to be controlled, rather than individuals to be understood. That works for most species, though, Leo pointed out. Domesticated animals. Species that evolved around civilized populations. But not for wild creatures. Not for predators. Not for animals from harsh environments. Nilara's forearms moved in a gesture of frustration. The galaxy is full of death worlds, full of dangerous species, and we have no framework for helping them when they need medical care. Until now, Leo considered this. I'd need to document everything. The philosophy behind it, the specific techniques. It's not just about being brave or reckless. It's about reading body language, understanding fear responses, knowing when to push and when to wait. That's exactly what we need, Nilara said eagerly. A systematic approach to fear-based trust building. The Deathworlder approach to xenoveterinary medicine. Over the next 3 months, Leo did exactly that. He created training materials, conducted workshops, took staff members through practical exercises using increasingly challenging species. The medical station's success rate with aggressive or frightened animals improved dramatically. Word spread through the galactic veterinary community. Other stations requested copies of the training. Leo received invitations to present at conferences. His methodology was being studied and adopted across multiple sectors. But the real validation came in smaller moments. Like when Resident Pack successfully calmed a terrified creature from a Class 7 death world without any sedation, or when Chief Handler Grev spent 2 hours sitting quietly with an injured predator until it trusted him enough to accept treatment. One day, Leo received an alert from the monitoring drones they had left near the Spine Cat's cave. He pulled up the video feed on his terminal. The mother was there, hunting successfully despite a slight limp she would probably always have. The 3 cubs, now half-grown, were learning to hunt alongside her. They were thriving. As he watched, the mother paused in her hunt and looked directly at one of the drones. Her 6 eyes glowed in the jungle light. Then she made that soft, rumbling purr, the same sound she had made in the cave when her cubs were safe. She remembered. She understood that the strange flying device was connected to the beings who had saved her family. Leo saved the video file. Sometimes people asked him why he did this work, why he took risks that others considered insane. This was why. This moment of a mother and her healthy cubs, alive because someone had chosen to understand rather than fear. Dr. Nilara entered his office. "We have a situation. Emergency call from a transport ship. They've got an injured creature in their cargo hold. Unknown species from the outer territories. It's aggressive and terrified. They're threatening to space it if we can't help." Leo felt a familiar combination of concern and determination. "What do we know about it?" "Very little. The crew is too scared to get close enough for detailed scans." Leo stood and gathered his equipment. "Then I'll go assess it myself." "Same protocol as before?" Nilara smiled. "Clear the containment bay. Dim the lights. Give you time alone with the creature." "Yes, same protocol, though now we call it the Leo Protocol." "That's a terrible name," Leo said, but he was smiling too. They walked together toward the containment bay. Staff members passed them in the corridors, some nodding and greeting, others watching with respect. The human who had walked calmly up to a wounded beast and said, "She's just afraid," had changed how they all thought about their work. At the containment bay entrance, Leo paused. Through the window, he could see a large shape moving in the shadows. Something with too many limbs and eyes that reflected the emergency lights. Something terrified and dangerous and in desperate need of help. "Ready?" Nilara asked. Leo thought about his grandmother. About the first time he saw her sit calmly with a wounded jaguar. About every lesson he had learned growing up on Earth about respecting fear and building trust. He thought about the Spine Cat and her cubs, thriving in their jungle home. He opened the door to the containment bay. "Ready," he said, and stepped inside to meet another scared animal who just needed someone to understand. The lights dimmed. The door closed. Through the observation window, the medical staff watched as Leo sat down on the floor, made himself small and non-threatening, and began the slow, patient work of building trust across the vast divide between species. In the darkness, 2 beings faced each other. One human from Earth, a planet that had taught him that the most dangerous creatures were often the most scared. One alien from a world unknown, desperate and in pain and needing help it didn't know how to accept. And slowly, carefully, with patience learned from 1,000 moments just like this, Leo began to show the creature what he had shown the Spine Cat. That fear didn't have to mean violence. That vulnerability didn't have to mean death. That sometimes, across all the differences of form and world and evolution, understanding could build a bridge. That every aggressive animal was just a scared animal with weapons. And every scared animal deserved someone who would calmly say, "I see you. I understand. You're safe now." That was the gift Earth had given the galaxy through people like Leo. Not advanced technology, not superior weapons, but the ancient wisdom of a death world species that had survived by learning to read fear, respect danger, and build trust even with the most threatening creatures. It was a gift that would save countless lives. One scared animal at a time.